Hey guys, AllyZieMage here, and welcome back to another vlog, which is what my channel seems to be devolving into right now. We might have games. I don't know, I might record some Tales of Berseria today. But, meow. Oh, now she does meow back. I have my cat over here. One quick distraction. Look at the kitty. Lulu. Okay, anyways. After that tangent, today we are talking about ambition and Cheez-Its and ambition. So, I feel like there is a stigma around ambition of being something bad. Though it depends on who is being ambitious. I'm gonna start this off with an overall generalization of ambition, then we're gonna move on towards the more nuanced version. And yeah. So, I feel like people view ambition as a bad thing because it's seen as wanting more than what you have often. Of like, oh, they're not happy with what they have in life. I mean, they have like all of these nice things. Why would they want more? Why do they want to be more ambitious? Why do they want to reach higher in the company? At least personally, it's just I'm ambitious because that is how I run. There isn't an excuse or a reason behind it besides, hey, that's my personality. I don't think that's bad. Like, so what? I want to do something that seems impossible, or I want to go further than what might be necessary for me to have a happy lifestyle. But for me to have a happy lifestyle, I would need to go that further point, else I wouldn't be mentally satisfied. And I think that is what makes the difference between people who aren't as ambitious and people who are ambitious, is that they are not mentally satisfied or content with where they are until they push themselves that much further. That is what drives their ambition, is generally mental happiness. And there is a thing as being too ambitious and too greedy of like, let's say that you are ambitious to create this drug that will cure everything. But you have to do a lot of jumps and loopholes and break the law a teeny litty lot bit. And that's when ambition becomes a problem, is when it harms others. So if there's a consequence of your ambition that is a direct negative to another person, I'm not saying of like, oh, you're competing for the same position as CEO. That, yes, would be a direct negative because they lose out on the position. But as long as you fight for that position fairly, and you deserve it, like people are honestly being like, oh yeah, we want this person because he has better qualifications or she has better qualifications, then that's fine. But I mean, if there's a negative, especially to people not involved. So in the example of this drug scenario, you create this drug, you go through some loopholes, and it has this really nasty side effect of generic cancer. That's just generic output of, oh, this drug can cause cancer. So, and let's say that it causes cancer in like 70% of the population who uses it. That's a direct negative from your ambition of pushing this out too fast and doing it illegally. But when your ambition doesn't harm anyone else and it doesn't harm yourself, because there is a thing of being too ambitious mentally, of it drives you to the point of insanity. Like, you cannot stop working. You just become a workaholic and you become obsessed with this thing. That's also bad, because you do need a break. You do need a life. But in general, ambition's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a propelling thing. It keeps you motivated to do something, especially when something starts to get hard. If you don't have ambition and a will to reach something, what's going to keep pushing you to keep going further? I mean, yeah, there could be things of like, oh, I need this money to pay a rent. But I view that as a negative incentive. That's if I don't do this, there's a bad consequence. Versus, if I do this, I become happier. That's how I view it. Now, my next point is that I feel like ambition is more acceptable in the male population. That's just my perception. I'm not saying that's actually true. And I am saying that I could be completely wrong. But in my experience of when I try to do something that seems to be out of the realm of possibility or too far reaching, or like, oh, why are you wanting to go that far? It's kind of like, my male peers who have similar ideas, thoughts, or drives aren't questioned or aren't questioned as hard about their decisions. It's generally more so the mentality still of the woman is the mother who takes care of the family. They're the one that keeps the family together and keeps things going that way. But if you're ambitious, that generally means that your attention is focused elsewhere. Your attention is focused upon what that ambition is. So if I'm ambitious to get my PhD, that means I would be putting my PhD first, or at least a high second, which for females that's viewed as bad because your family should always be first. Your family is your top priority. That is what you worry about first and foremost, not what you want to do in life. So, for example, let's say that I want to become a CEO or the business owner to some lab firm that does a lot of research that is like cutting edge research. I would be working a lot to make that happen and to keep that going, to keep managing it. But that means that if I had a family, I would have to split the time more like how the traditional male would split their time with their family of, oh, I need to go to work, so I'm gonna go to work, versus being like, oh, I need to go to work, what the fuck am I going to do with the kids now? So, I feel like there is still a little bit of that mentality of women shouldn't be as ambitious. There's also a mentality, and tell me if this is true or not, that women aren't supposed to be intimidating. I've seen a lot of posts going around on like Twitter and other social media of like, you're not intimidating, they're just intimidated. Of like being directed to women of like, oh, you're not doing anything wrong just because you're like trying to do female power, being in a position of power, being higher up, and that intimidates males or other females and hurting their male pride or whatever the article is trying to say is damaging and why people don't like it. I feel like that also goes back into that whole sense of women should be more content with taking care of the family and having family be the priority, because it is hard to juggle a position of power where a lot of people rely on you with being a family person, someone that is in charge of the family or like in charge of making sure everyone gets to where they need to be on time. Soccer mom. I think it would be very difficult to try and be a soccer mom and CEO simultaneously. That's the point I'm getting at. And I think there is still a bit of that mindset where people are traditionally like, oh, every woman should be kind of like a soccer mom if she has a family, or should aim to be a soccer mom and have a family if she does not have one yet. And I disagree with that. Because my brain is just as intelligent as anyone else's out there. Or potential to be intelligent. If you took a guy with the same brain as mine, we're equal. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing that sets me back from a man of what I'm capable of. And there shouldn't be a stigma around that of being ambitious, being intimidating, going for positions of power. But I do want to take this back full circle of it's not just women who are criticized for being too ambitious. There are often times that men, who are wanting to be ambitious, wanting to rise up in power, they're just like, oh man, it's not worth it. Like, why are you trying so hard? Why are you busting your ass for this when you could just settle in this other position that might not be as entertaining to you or might not be as invigorating to you, but pays the same amount as that position that you're trying to reach for right now. For example, if a guy wanted to become the lab owner of this theoretical lab that I've designed of cutting edge research, he'd have to work a lot. He'd have to work just as much as I would. So, full circle. Or he could be a software engineer and probably make close to the same amount faster, because software engineering is a lucrative business. Oh god. Those people, wow. But maybe it's more of a drive or more fulfilling for him to have that position of CEO of a lab versus being in that position of mundane software engineer clacking away at a keyboard 40 hours a week. Actually, a lot of software engineers work more than 40 hours a week, but that's beside the point in this conversation. I think people need to step back and look at things of, does this negatively affect me? Does this directly affect me? Will this have an impact? Like, if it does not impact your life and it does not negatively impact anyone else's life, it's not your problem. Step back from it. Let people be who they are. Or do what they want to do. That's where this rant's come to. Have yourself a magical day, and I shall see you next time. Bye.